Welcome to the program, everybody. Happy Thursday to everybody out there. Good morning to you. My name is Paul Harrell, and we got a great show for you. A breath of fresh air, some good news, some accountability, further accountability. We, of course, remember what happened, I don't know, how long ago was that? A couple months ago at this point, where we found out that the SPLC was essentially funding false flags, funding white supremacy groups, and you kind of ask yourself, are there any other groups doing the same thing? And so we got that indictment. We now have a superseding indictment where the former CFO of the Southern Poverty Law Center has now been indicted. She was arrested, according to reports yesterday. She was actually arrested for money laundering. And this is the same lady that we've actually talked about before, how she was shacking up with a white supremacist, and they shared a bank account. And, you know, it's just, and it's absolutely nuts to think, as the FBI under Democrat administrations was telling everybody that the white person, the white male, was the greatest domestic terror threat that this country faces. You know, if you're white and if you like to barbecue and you like to shoot fireworks on the 4th of July, you may be a terrorist. All of this was being funded via the SPLC, creating their own enemy, and then going to donors and saying, hey, we need more money because, see, look, the groups are there. There's a real threat there. The white supremacists are about to take over. And it was all a lie. We're going to talk about that. Also, Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary for Donald Trump, the White House has decided she is going to step aside. She came back from maternity leave. We're assuming she just wants to spend time with her family, which is totally understandable for a mother of her age. We're going to talk about that as well as so much more. We've got this judge out of California that released a violent criminal back out on the streets, and then he immediately stabbed somebody to death. At what point do we say enough is enough? We don't have to live like this. And at what point are judges held accountable here? The judge in this case is culpable for the murder. She is an accessory to the murder. At what point do these judges start to, not just losing your job, not just being impeached, not just being removed from the bench, but no, you are now going to jail yourself. We're going to talk about it. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
All right, there we go. I think we're back up. We had a little, I saw on my end, one of the streams was having a little bit of problem, but I think we're back up and running there. Broadcast. Go ahead, Rob. What you got?
Yeah, apparently we were still streaming on all of our other platforms, so I guess this was a little bit.
It was just a hiccup. I saw it too. I saw the LFA main stream go yellow for a second. I've got five. We got 5 different streams going, and then some of these streams go one place, and then when they get there, they go other places.
Sure.
But yeah. It looks like we're recovered.
Okay.
Now, so
all right. Hey, we're back.
We're back.
All right. Good morning, everybody. This is. I'm glad to see the accountability, Paul. I'm with you on that because we've had so little of it that it feels a little bit frustrating at times. The boss here in the chat, Jeremy Harrell, brought up a great point. He's like, hey, when we talk about this SPLC funding here, how much of that was influencing January 6thers? Okay. Like, was this money being funneled into there as part of agitators as well?
Or Charlottesville. You got to also.
I 100% believe Charlottesville was an SPLC feature.
Well, there's some people that even say, and I don't know how accurate this is, how definitive it is, but I do think there is at least some evidence to suggest that the Azov battalion from Ukraine was actually also involved, in essentially creating a false flag as well. Basically they want a race war.
Yes.
And so they've got to create their own enemy. It's classic false flag. If you've ever seen the movie Princess Bride, I've got a war to start. I've got my wife, I've got my wife to murder and this other country to frame for it.
I don't don't think that means what you think it means. Anyway, yeah, that's a great movie. My wife hates that movie. We've talked about that before, but I completely agree. Does anybody listen? Only a naive idiot that would just is refusing. They're sitting there with their head in the sand. Only if you're truly naive and you buy the government's narrative on all of this stuff, do you believe that this woman is somehow innocent? That this woman somehow, she's just an innocent bystander, and this is the Trump administration. This is the weaponization of the DOJ. Bull. We saw the weaponization of the Department of Justice under Joe Biden and Merrick Garland. We absolutely saw that when they were doing FBI raids of preachers for silently praying in front of abortion clinics, which we've covered. But anyway, if you're naive, you think this is all a setup and a hoax. Anybody that's a rational person that's willing to look at this and say that this, number one, was the biggest, one of the hugest, hugest is not a word, but one of the largest. There we go. That's the word I was searching for. One of the largest money laundering scheme organizations. USAID, I think, was probably number one. Good grief. But I believe some of that funding was coming. Listen, I think it was all intertwined as well. Mm-hmm. I feel like everybody was kind of working with everybody behind these scenes. Stoking,
and you also have to say here as well, you can't just say this is the SPLC. Mm-hmm. I think there are other orgs as well that I'd love to look into. But when I say not just the SPLC, what I'm saying is stuff like this doesn't get pulled off without the intelligence oligarchy. Running these psyops, false flags against the people controlling
there is
the
a
media.
Puppet master at the top. Who it is, I don't know.
But you think about it, and you're like, obviously, we know that in a lot of tragedies that we hear about, you start doing the research, and eventually it comes out, oh, this guy was in contact with the FBI before, or the FBI knew about this beforehand, or this guy had what appears to be an FBI handler. You go back to the Draw Mohammed contest in Texas, where that guy, according to some reporting, was affiliated with the FBI, like knew an FBI guy. So you start to think, okay, the FBI, there's evidence out there to suggest that they don't exist to solve crimes. They exist in some cases to create crimes and then cover them up. Okay, so it's much easier to do that. Mm-hmm. So we can see a pattern of that happening. It's much easier to do that if it's not the FBI directly doing it. Instead, you take one of these organizations like the SPLC, you co-opt them into doing it for you, and so you have one more layer of insulation.
Every bit of it is proxy. You are working behind the scenes to manipulate, like the puppet master. You are manipulating these organizations, these individuals, all to get some sort of outcome, to have some sort of distraction. Now, I did read this book that's called Operation Pale Horse, and it was from a retired FBI. I've talked about it on the show, but it's been about a year ago. Retired FBI undercover agent, and he infiltrated biker gangs. Now, a lot of them truly are white supremacist. And he talked about all of these things that they were planning. They were planning to do this. They were planning to do that. They were planning to do this, but they never do this stuff. And that's why it was so insulting that Merrick Garland and Joe Biden went on national television more times than I can count and said that white supremacy is the most dangerous thing that we are facing here in the United States. No. It's the puppet masters pulling the strings, trying to cause a race war. It's the puppet masters pulling the strings, trying to get the Republicans riled up so that we stormed the Capitol. Okay, it's the puppet masters trying to manipulate the entire government when they say, and many people have said, and in a lot of ways I agree with it, that the President of the United States is not the most powerful man in the United States. It is this deep, dark state that's working behind the scenes to manipulate, to funnel money, all of this stuff. And how do you expose something that's so large? I don't know, but this is a huge step in the right direction. Now, back to what I was saying about the FBI, how he went undercover to.
Is this
to
the book
infiltrate.
right here,
Yes.
Pale Horse? Right?
Yes,
This
that
is
was his undercover name. So he went by that on not all of them, but some of them. And there was one where he was being strip searched.
I've heard him recount that in interviews.
Yeah,
Harrowing.
and so he was being strip searched in a basement of a bar, and he had a wire on him at that time.
And they had plastic wrap on the floor, meaning if they found it, they were going to kill him right there.
Dead. He's dead. And he had this wire on him. Well, he was wearing like this flannel shirt, and he said, somehow by the grace of God, that wire, was I get it was he just didn't detect it. The guy that was feeling the shirt after he took it off. Anyway, it's a phenomenal book, and if you're an audiobook person, Scott Payne reads the book. It's phenomenal. But every time he said, and when he talked about all this stuff, and by the way, Scott Payne is a conservative. He went on Joe Rogan. That's how I found the book as well. So it's don't think it's like a leftist book at all. He is very, very much a conservative. And white supremacy does exist. Let's not be naive and say that it doesn't exist. But every incident that he was talking about was always what they're planning. And we foiled it, but they were planning. And I'm just like, I don't think I'm getting nervous about planning. I think I'm getting nervous about the radical Islamics that are causing terror all across the globe, including here in the United States. We've had multiple terror incidents, all of that stuff, and we're just supposed to blindly live next to these Muslims and say, are you in the 75% or the 25%? Okay, are you radicalized or are you a peaceful Muslim? How am I supposed to know? And
how are you supposed to trust the answer?
Well, yeah. What are you going to say? Oh,
I mean,
not the radical at all. Not the radical.
Obviously.
I like Burger King.
Yeah.
Not the radical. Listen, I don't know why Burger King just was American there. I love America.
I think the real test would be like get a pork shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Cook it for them.
Eat
give
this
it to
bacon.
them. If they eat it, you're probably okay.
Yeah, eat these bacon-wrapped pork chops, Anyway, regardless, I've gone off on a lot of tangents here, but I'm just gonna say that I'm so glad to see about this, and let's hear the details.
This was the CNN headline: exclusive former employee at the Southern Poverty Law Center arrested on fraud charges. Where did my Gateway Pundit article go on this? That's the one I had. But hang on a second. Here's the. United States Attorney's Office second superseding indictment adds defendant and charges in Southern Poverty Law case. So this lady, basically, and we actually covered this, or I know I covered it at one point because somebody did a deep dive on her before the superseding indictment. I think there were some references maybe to this activity where they were trying to figure out who exactly was the CFO doing this. And of course, they figured it out that it's this lady that now just got indicted. Barich is her last name. Heidi L. Barich, a 59 of Palm Springs.
She sounds like a libtard.
Kind of does. New charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to commit false statements to a federally insured bank. The new indictment also adds Barich as a defendant to the previously charged count of conspiracy to commit concealment, money laundering, and charges the SPLC with an additional count of concealment money laundering. Barich was served with an arrest warrant this morning in the Central District of California and is expected to make her initial appearance in court this afternoon. This was yesterday. The charges arise from an alleged scheme involving the use of donated funds and financial accounts associated with fictitious entities. As previously alleged, the scheme involved efforts to conceal the source, ownership, and control of the funds, and to make false representations concerning the use of donated money and the operation of financial accounts.
It ain't so.
The second superseding indictment expands the case to include the alleged participation of Barich and additional conduct involving the movement and concealment of proceeds, because she was literally sharing a bank account, I believe, with this guy that was working with white supremacists, and they were shacking up together. The Southern Poverty Law Center was previously charged. Okay, let me
listen.
I just don't believe it.
I just don't believe any of it, Paul. They just wouldn't do that. Listen. SPLC, their only goal is for equality in ethnicity, in the races. We need to make sure that everyone is treated equally. That's what our goal is. It's certainly not money laundering. It's certainly not trying to dredge up a race war so that we can receive more funding. No, that would not play into our motivation. Our existence is just to help mediate. We don't instigate. Bull. We see that, and we're seeing, hopefully, that this is more than just an arrest. I need a conviction. I need jail time. Anybody else convicted of money laundering on that scale? You're talking, and it's white. I mean, they're going to be in a white-collar prison, but they're going to go to prison.
Yeah, well, and again, this has to do with false flagging the entire country forever, for decades. I mean, you even can go back to the mysteries that still exist around the Oklahoma City bombing, and you can find the SPLC had people on the ground there too.
Yeah,
that were they were there doing something. I don't know. They're going to, well, they were an informant. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's weird.
Yeah,
I mean, why you guys are not the FBI, or are you the FBI?
So maybe somebody can help us in our chat here. If anybody knows the answer to this question, who issues federal 501c3s? Essentially, what I'm trying to get at is who is in charge of 501c3s and who could revoke one? Because if there has ever been a need to revoke a 501c3, this one, with all of the fraud that's been uncovered, and let's just be honest, it's the tip of the iceberg with this organization. So if this place can't lose its 501c3 nonprofit status, what will? So somebody in the so they're saying that would be the the boss says that's the IRS, that the IRS issues. But Jeremy, are they the ones that actually issue the 501c3?
Yeah,
I believe the revocation would come through.
I believe that's the case. I mean, you have to apply all 501c3 through the IRS in some capacity.
So Scott, so Jeremy's saying so Scott Bessent would be the one essentially that could pull that 501c3. You want to talk about a gangster move right there. Awesome. Scott Bessent's already
after the
awesome.
I mean, look, if they do get a conviction here, yes. I mean, that's the obvious. I mean, that's obvious at that point. After
is she okay? Remind me, is she the former or
during this
resigned.
Time she's not the CFO anymore. But this again, it comes about this headline. I think encapsulates it good. Arrested on charges for secretly funneling payments to white supremacist groups. You're literally creating the enemy. You're creating the problem, and then going to fundraise off of it.
No, again, Paul. No one would do that.
Just, what's funny?
No one would do that.
Like we've all. This is, and I know this is an old story. I mean, new story because it's a new indictment. But those of us on the right, when we go to have our conversations with whoever we're having, or whether you're on, a talk show, or whether you're at the water cooler at work, right? You would never, you would think this in the back of your mind, maybe, right? You'd be like, I think the left is evil, but and they are. But especially 10 years ago, you would come at it with okay, let's try to find the lowest common denominator so we can agree or agree to disagree or whatever. But in the back of your mind, you would be like, man, I bet the SPLC is paying these people. I don't really. I mean, look around you, man. Mm-hmm. Look around. Like we're told the media that this country is so racist. A country that 7 years after 9/11 elected Barack Hussein Obama. Now, okay, who knows how secure our elections were at this point. But anyway, just for the sake of argument, we're told we're the most racist country in the world. The media tells us that. Hollywood tells us that. Hollywood loves to dunk on the South, right?
Yeah,
but when you actually go to our cities, when you actually move around in the South, it's like people get along quite well. People of different skin color, they may not be best friends, but like we are civil people and would go and help somebody if they needed it and that sort of thing. We are not what we are portrayed to be, and so. You're at the water cooler in these conversations, and in the back of your mind, though, you think, man, I wonder. I mean, I wonder if this is just but you might not articulate that because you have no evidence of it. What I'm trying to say is, your wildest dreams about how evil the left is, like in the back of your mind, it's almost as if you have the thought, keep it yourself. There's somebody somewhere that's already doing it. There's somebody somewhere that is that corrupt, is that wicked, is that evil, and we're fundamentally just we're fundamentally surrounded by liars who are our elites are just liars. They lie to get out of accountability, but they lie to create their own problems to make sure their mission never goes away.
Yeah, I mean,
it's disgusting, man. It's absolutely disgusting. And she needs to go to jail for a long time, and the SPLC needs to be consigned to the dustbin of history.
And we keep seeing this as well in every political cycle where the party out of party creates this fear that that if they're not put back into power, that this is the end, that this is the last. And in some ways, I honestly believe had Donald Trump not won in 2024, that our country here in 2026 would be unrecognizable. I think we were
the
holding,
border alone would have been insane.
We were holding on by a thread to make it through the Biden administration there with those last few years. So I do believe that there's some truth to that. But it goes back to what I've said about John Thune, that I wonder if part of the motivation is that it's sometimes easier to fundraise if you're in the minority, because it's people are more motivated because they don't like what they're seeing, and Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden, and they're doing all of this stuff. And so you start, well, I got to give money. I got to make sure that I get Republicans in there. Mm-hmm. Now, we've talked about being really happy with some of the things that the Republicans have done, but there's also been some frustrations, mostly with the Senate. I think Donald Trump keeps signing all of these. He keeps signing all of these executive orders. He can only do so much. We got to have the damn Senate step up and actually pass this stuff. And I've bragged on Mike Johnson. I don't agree with everything that Mike Johnson said. I don't want to be so repetitive about it, but I think it's noteworthy. I don't agree with everything that Mike Johnson does. But damn it, man, he is leading his party with a razor-thin majority, and for the most part, he is getting Donald Trump's agenda passed.
And putting it in the lap of the Senate.
It's
and
going there to die a death. Yeah. It's being imploded. We're going on 5-week vacation here.
Yeah, I've got that clip too. I mean, we got to talk about that.
Okay.
Remind me, because there's actually a really good article that I did pull on the John Thune thing over at, never heard of this place before, CNAV News, headline, "A Modest Proposal," which is a play on that satirical piece from long ago about the babies. A modest proposal. We should eat senators. No, that's not what it says. A modest proposal. Performance reviews for senators. Suppose all senators had to face a recall referendum every month, even a non-binding one, to provide an official approval rating, ? The idea behind this is that these people never move unless they think there's an election coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's just like, with South Carolina and the late Lindsey Graham. Nobody really, you go on for 5 years. You'll show up year 6 to ask for their vote again, and that's the same thing that happens. Same thing that happens here in Arkansas too, by the way, and that happens in a lot of these places. And that's why the 17th Amendment, is that the one with the senators? That's the real answer here, is to go back to state legislatures electing the senators.
After the first 5 or 6, I kind of lose what the amendments are.
Yeah, of course. Here is real quick. We're going to bookend this segment with the SPLC. Heidi Barrich, CFO SPLC, who was just arrested for secretly funding white supremacy Nazi groups, complained a few years ago how fast the Nazi groups were exploding under Donald Trump. So to give you, this is a good deal. Let's just say here, I complain all the time about accountability. I complain about the lack of accountability, okay? And I definitely think there's bigger conspiracies to go after, bigger deep staters, intel oligarchy people. Yes, right? But let's celebrate this for a second, because the SPLC is the enemy.
Yeah.
The SPLC is our enemy. And they are being punished. And the modern iteration of the SPLC is functionally being made illegal. It's being exposed. And we got to keep going and do more. We got to put the pedal to the metal. But this is a really good outcome today.
Yeah, it is, and we're going to play the video here in just a second, right? So before you get started, I mean, this lady looks like she used to do porn in the 80s, and then she ballooned up and was unfortunately unable to continue in the business because she got so fat. And so what she started doing was going into starting race wars. I think that's her life story. I'm pretty sure at this point I could write an autobiography about it.
This was our thumbnail. It's she's.
Her biography,
I think the vibe that she gives off is something akin to like a final boss. The question is what's the name of the video game you're playing? But she's kind of like potentially the final boss. of some video game. I don't know. What would we say? It would be like
She looked like a desert troll at the end of a Mario or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, you'd have to call it like I don't know, Woke Race Wars 11 or something.
You think on that one and you get back to us.
All right. Here she is warning about the dangers of white supremacy. And keep in mind, when you watch this, she's literally giving money to the white supremacists.
You couldn't script this any better, folks.
The number of hate groups has been increasing pretty rapidly and frighteningly really since 2000. So in the 1990s, the number of hate groups sort of bounced around 450, a little up, a little down every year. And then in 2000, we started to see a sustained rise, which ultimately led to a doubling of groups. And what's interesting about this is that the year 2000 is the year that the Census Bureau told Americans that white people would become a minority in the future, in 2042. And a lot of hate groups all of a sudden started to, begin to recruit. White supremacists commit far more acts of domestic terrorism in the United States than radical Islamists, for example. These groups have seen their numbers increase, particularly since Donald Trump started campaigning. There are other organizations that call themselves the alt-right that literally didn't exist 2 years ago. And a lot of the ferment and activity, the protests, the rallies and whatnot are circulated around the alt-right groups right now. In particular, groups that attach themselves directly to Donald Trump's campaign have seen their ranks grow. So we've got a hate problem larger than we've ever had.
We got a hate problem.
Yeah. Listen, she got
it's larger than life.
She got angry after her porn days. She seemed a lot nicer back in the 80s, No, listen, look, what is so comical about this, Paul, and it is that that every word out of her mouth just now was a lie.
Yeah.
Now, it was baked in what we were seeing in headlines and what we were seeing.
Yes, the media, definitely the apparatus there.
Correct.
It all works together.
It's the Nancy Pelosi playbook, right? You whisper in the ear of a reporter.
The wrap-up smear.
Right, and then it goes to this one. You whisper in another one, and then you're able to say it's being reported. Right?
Yeah.
Which it's all bull. It's all complete lies. And this woman was pulling the strings. Now, somebody was pulling her strings. Let's be honest. Someone was pulling, because she's not just sitting here. She's not that woman is not some massive mastermind.
Right.
It ain't her. Okay. She is in that position, and she was being used as a tool. She is now expendable. So the deep state has said, hey, we're going to let you go. Or maybe they, made a mistake. I'm not trying to say that the deep state is infallible. They may have just made a mistake. And finally, this stuff is getting exposed. I don't think they like it being exposed. But this piece of trash right here went on there and just completely destroyed the white race, was saying all of this stuff about us that's not true, creating this race war, creating this division, in all in the names of money, and so that it keeps feeding you. It's like a plumber showing up at my house and busting all the pipes in my house and then knocking on the front door saying, it looks like you got a problem here. Oh, gosh, we're seeing a big rise of problems like this.
Yeah.
It's apparently the biggest problem facing Americans today.
Yeah, it also reminds you of like a shakedown, like you go into a business in a neighborhood, hey, you need the mob's protection, And it's like, well, what if I don't pay you for protection? Oh, well, we're going to do,
Then like you'll need protection from us.
It's like a mutated version of that.
Let's just be honest with you. You're paying us so that we won't beat the hell out of you.
Right.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, we're going to church it up.
Yeah,
we're going to say this.
Pay me so I don't murder your whole family and burn your business to the ground.
Lord have mercy.
But yeah, it's crazy, folks, and let's hope these people go to jail for a long time. Let's not stop there. We got to keep going. What other organizations? And I'm thinking of the ADL. What other organizations have also been doing this?
NAACP.
There you go.
That is a trash organization. NAACP, garbage. I wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire. Garbage. Their intent to protect minorities and to look at their interest. Absolutely a noble event. I mean, I'm not going to besmirch any organization for that. But they will stand on national television with the Reverend stupid-ass Sharpton standing up there. Ben Crump is now this attorney that goes all over. We're seeing it locally with a local person that was punched by one of our state troopers has hired Ben Crump. Okay, that is here in Arkansas. It was the 18-year-old girl who resisted arrest, and the state trooper punched her in the face.
That's a harrowing video.
It is. He should not have punched her in the face. But what everybody is skipping past is that girl was absolutely resisting arrest.
I know.
She turned around.
Look, and that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I said. Like, would you ever, if you got arrested, are you going to resist arrest? Or are you just going to put me in the car?
If you start resisting arrest and you start, you're pulling your hands away, every attorney will say, do not resist arrest. We're going to fight it in court.
Yeah.
We're going to fight it in court. But if you start resisting, all bets are off. I mean, something's going to happen. The police officer, you are going in handcuffs.
Right.
One way or the other. We're just going to see how many bruises and scrapes and cuts that you get in the meantime.
This girl is much smaller than this
18-year-old little girl, and the state trooper punched her.
And the
should not have done
terrible in terms of just
should not have done it.
The optics of it. I want to call my mom, and then he just
hits
punches her.
It was bad optics. Folks, I'm sorry, we're talking about a video that you may not have seen, but it's actually been covered on national news.
It's a big deal in Arkansas right now.
Well, anyway, we'll talk about it later as more developments come.
Sorry,
my whole point of it is the NAACP and Ben Crump will stand his stupid ass, race baiting ass up there at a press conference and knowingly lie. Sue me, Ben Crump, because you knowingly lie. You go up there and you give falsehoods so that it creates a narrative that police are out there hunting black people, when we know that the numbers of unarmed black people are less on a case-by-case basis than other races here in the United States. And they said, well, it's because we're only 13% of the population, though. Yeah, but we've talked about this yesterday. You're committing 50% of the violent crimes. You're going to have more police encounters, okay? And, Charlie Kirk would always ask those people that would come up and they would say, hey, are these police officers out there and they're murdering? How many people do you think they're getting killed? Some people, there's one girl that said like 250,000. Are you nuts? What the hell kind of news are you listening to? And Charlie goes, it's actually 9. 9 people. Well, they shouldn't be any of them. And he goes, and that's not including the ones that they're not including the ones that actually had a knife that had dropped it or had access. The gun was close by, because that's still, and it just blows my mind. And the organizations like the SPLC, the NAACP, they lost their quest for good. It is attention, money, the black race before anything else. Like when has the NAACP went and tried to help an Asian American?
Right.
Yeah. When the hell has that happened? Okay. When has the SPLC stepped in to help I don't know, a Jewish person? Of course, I know that most Jewish people are white, but that's a bad example. But regardless, they're a trash organization. I was trying to lose weight like 10 years ago. And have you ever done that thing where you're, trying to lose weight and you write a check to somebody, an organization, and you let a friend who's holding you accountable? Have you ever done this before?
I have not.
Okay.
Clearly.
So
I have not.
So I had gained some weight after I left school teaching, and because I wasn't up and moving around as much. So I wrote a $500 check, and my buddy Jack goes, hey, who would you just be so pissed off if I sent this check to? And I said, well, number one, maybe the Westboro Baptist Church. You remember those lunatics? Yeah. Okay. The ones that say God loves dead soldiers and all this. They were garbage. And he goes, I'm going to have you think on that one, because if you don't reach your weight loss goal, you're going to be on record as a donation to this. And I said, good point. Good point. I'm not going to do that.
Whoa, dude, that is hilarious.
I'm glad that he stopped me.
I mean, maybe I do need to do this. Maybe I need to write a check to something I hate, some cause I cannot stand.
It'll work for you. So anyway, I ended up writing the check to the NAACP. Luckily, I hit my weight loss goal, and Jack tore that check up, and it was not sent in. But I was that close to donating $500 to a garbage organization, and I knew that 10 years ago. Look at where they've come now. Man, the NAACP, I know I keep talking about that, but I think that they're cut from the same cloth, this SPLC.
Real quick, also in kind of the same realm of accountability, this was interesting. When we covered Jeanine Pirro reportedly these tensions between her and President Trump. Obviously, President Trump said she folded like an umbrella. And
I wish he wouldn't do that.
You know, about the whole reflecting pool thing and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But now it looks like this headline here, U.S. Attorney makes rare move by convening special grand jury in Washington. D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro has taken the rare step of convening a special grand jury in Washington, according to the Washington Post. It will be overseen by Stephen Vander Velden, a key Pirro lieutenant, the Post said. Vander Velden has run some of the office's most contentious investigations, including the failed probe of then Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. See,
Yeah.
you know, there's been a few things that have stacked up here, right? Like, not only do those of us on the right want to end the Fed, we want to go after people like Jerome Powell, these guys that are untouchable, right? We got to have some Elliot Nesses out there, folks. We got to have some Elliot, you know, what are you prepared to do? So a special grand jury case, potentially scathing report. Hang on, I lost my place. Including the failed probe with then Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell and an inquiry into whether D.C. police tampered with their own crime statistics. Unlike a regular grand jury, a special grand jury can issue a potentially scathing report on the target of an investigation, even when prosecutors ultimately decide there isn't enough evidence to bring charges. Huh, okay. Well, that's not what we want. We don't want one of those reports.
Yeah, well, and let's talk about this overall. Let's talk about this one overall, and that is that Judge Jeanine Pirro, and I've said this, Pirro, I've heard it both ways, but I mean, I loved
Pirro.
her.
It is Pirro.
I loved her when she was on Fox. Loved her because, oh my gosh, man, she would cuss somebody out without using a single cuss word. That's how good she was at just making her point, and she is a true blue, absolutely red running through her veins in more than one way because she is a conservative.
What I'm hearing from you is that you're a fan.
I'm a huge fan of this woman, and I don't like it when somebody does one thing that Trump doesn't agree with there, and that he just says, oh, he called her. What did he say? I can't remember. But I'm not the president of the United States. I'm not hearing everything that he's hearing. Maybe he had some different evidence that was presented to him. I just don't like the internal fighting when I think that the enemy right now is the rise of socialists. I think that is something that is noteworthy because, as I said yesterday, some of these candidates are going to be in Congress next year. They have knocked off long-term incumbents in these blue districts, and so they're going to be in Congress next year. They're going to continue to grow until they get in power and fail miserably, and then people get sick of them and throw them out. But what has happened then, at that point, we're all suffering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I love Judge Jeanine. I hope her and Trump make amends here.
But one quick note on this. What is this special grand jury going to be investigating? The article says we don't know. It is not yet known what this would be assembled for. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
And I'll be very excited to see it. Want to remind everybody that the Paul Harrell program is powered by the Healing Veterans Project. This is a charity that wants to do one thing: get red light therapy into the homes of veterans who can't afford it. At the Healing Veterans Project, we have a long list of veterans who have been prescribed these panels by their doctors, but the VA, unfortunately, will not cover it. The VA will cover opioids, they'll cover addictive pharmaceuticals, but they won't cover red light therapy. Now, many of you may not know about red light therapy, but you know I've been advertising red light panels on this program for a couple of years now. I believe in the therapy called photobiomodulation. It is scientific. It does incredible things to your body, like stimulate the mitochondria, increase blood flow. And these have incredible effects on pain, on nerve pain, on PTSD, on traumatic brain injury. It's really a catch-all. It does so many great things. And you have to have the right panel, obviously. There's a lot of cheaper panels out there that aren't actually third-party tested. But that's what we're trying to do. This changes lives. This will help our veterans heal in a big way. And so you can go give an individual donation by scanning the QR code on your screen there, healingveteransproject.us. That's healingveteransproject.us. Or I want you to email me, Paul@healingveteransproject.us, if you're a business owner, specifically a retail business owner that's got a point-of-sale kiosk, because we want to partner with you. We can even give you an affiliate marketing a fee to help with the expense. To partner with us, so you can help veterans. You can tell your customers you're helping veterans, and you can also ask your customers, hey, donate $1, donate $5, or would you like to do that at checkout? And I know sometimes that may be seen as annoying, but there are great people out there who are generous who do give at those kiosks. So email me if you're a business or you know of a business owner. Put me in contact with them. We're going to make it worth their while. We're going to help these veterans get the therapy they need. I am pleased to partner with the Healing Veterans Project.
Yeah, and Pure out here. Not saying that correctly, I know, but great to have him in the chat. They do. I've seen a lot of his comments, but anyway, I wish the VA did pay for red light therapy so I could alleviate my daily pain.
Well, maybe you need to get on our list. Maybe we need to get you in contact with a doctor or something, to evaluate it. And then you can get in line, Yeah. And if you want to do that, by the way, go ahead and email me that as well. Any veterans out there that, because we're assembling the list, but we also got to assemble the funds first. But we've got a list, and it's growing because we've got doctors prescribing these panels, and you got to hear the story of Matt Troy, the founder of Healing Veterans Project. For the last year, he's been trying to get the VA to cover just one panel for this one Purple Heart veteran, and the story of what this guy did in Vietnam, I've read about it, is incredible. The amount of lives this guy saved, the amount of enemies he killed.
Patty, okay.
And so, but yeah, email me and we'll figure out a way to get you guys on the list.
Yeah.
And then when we continue to raise money for this great charity, we'll get you a panel.
Yeah, Patty, reach out to Paul there and at least get you on the list, and we'll see. Yep. Because the idea there is that there's enough donations in the meantime until we can get on the VA's radar and get these things approved.
Well, I do know RFK Jr. Is familiar with the technology, photobiomodulation, which is red light therapy. And it may happen eventually, It may, but we're going to keep going. This is non-pharmaceutical intervention. And so that's what Healing Veterans Project wants to do, non-pharmaceutical intervention, because that's the type of stuff that is not going to harm the veterans further by just masking the real problem.
Yeah, and it's the solution to everything, it seems like these days. Just give them a pill.
Yeah, I know. All right, Caroline Leavitt is leaving the White House, ladies and gentlemen.
Sad about
You're
this.
sad about this too, huh? You're a big fan of Caroline.
I think so. You could not have convinced me that there was anybody better than Kayleigh McEnany until Caroline Leavitt. So I liked when Sarah Huckabee Sanders was the press secretary. I think she did a great job. But Kayleigh McEnany would come in with her binder, her 3-ring binder, and just smoke the liberal media every time they would say something. Boom, here she would go.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, man, and then she got, kind of her own show there with Fox News, and got on the Outnumbered with Harris Faulkner and my future wife.
You gotta stop.
I love her. I'm not gonna talk about it. Anyway, she's a lovely lady. Anywho, but she got on this show, so we knew that she was not going to be the press secretary in Trump 2.0, especially with him calling her milquetoast and all that stuff. It just wasn't a great thing. But Caroline Leavitt came in, and I think she's the best that I've seen, certainly under the Trump administration.
A few names are being dropped for the Daily Mail saying who's going to be next. Who's it going to be? They throw Jason Miller out there. Jason Miller, let me show you what he looks. That's Jason Miller right there. He recently came back to the White House.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
They
I would
throw out former Homeland Security Press Secretary Katie Zakaria.
She has my vote. I think it needs to be a woman. I just really believe that.
I actually pray that it's a man. I'm sorry. I'm so sick of everything has to be feminine. Everything has to be. Then they have
I just think that job is a feminine job.
Principal Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly, a former beauty queen, could also be in the running. Then they've got seen in political.
I like women. If you didn't know,
Scott
Paul.
Jennings could be the. Scott Jennings could.
Hey, you know what? I could get behind Scott Jennings.
You think so?
Now, yeah, but I think that'd be a step down. His star is just getting bigger and bigger.
Also, former acting director of National Intelligence Bill Pulte was rumored to have a long shot possibility.
No, he looks like he just passed gas.
Here's some highlights. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some montage videos, but just to familiarize yourself, here was one of her most viral moments during her time as press secretary, where she called a member of the press a left-wing hack.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally.
This was after the death of Renee Good, when she, tried to run over an ICE agent.
You mean the murder of Renee Good?
Yeah.
Earlier on, Secretary Nolan spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my
Yeah.
opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Mic
literally
drop.
willful. It was willful ignorance. The answer to the question, the question was, why was she unfortunately killed? Like, what happened?
Yeah,
and his answer
she put it back on him,
yeah,
and that was
his answer
chance.
should have been, she hit an ICE agent with her car. Mm-hmm. With a deadly weapon, a car.
But his answer told her and all
of us. The ICE agent acted recklessly. The ICE agent should have just let himself get run over, I guess. That was a good moment.
Right, sir. Have you ever been in law enforcement, standing in front of a vehicle that you are trying to get the woman out because she is now under arrest? She's impeding traffic. She's impeding law enforcement. That is obstruction of justice, folks. It is as plain as day. That woman died because of her own actions, okay? You can say the wheel was turned away. You can say the wheel was turned away from the ICE agent. You can say that. How do you know that she knew that?
Exactly.
Okay? Because at that point, before she took off, she had been stopped for a second. Do you think that she knew exactly what her wheel position, where her tires were? Okay, she's probably focused on the fact that there are two ICE agents outside of her vehicle with guns, and one of them was standing in front of her vehicle, standing right there, saying, "Stop, get out, get out." And he had his weapon on him. He actually hadn't even pulled it at that point, which was pretty impressive because he pulled it. He pulled it in just that millisecond that it took for her to accelerate. And she's dead because of her own actions. And the stupid-ass liberal media that we've talked about so much sat there and said, well, she had just dropped her child off at daycare, and she was on her way home. The hell she was. She was parked out there for 4 minutes
she was an
ahead
activist.
of it.
She was being funded likely by other people, just like Alex Good and that whole, what was that? Was it a Telegram or Signal or whatever they had that was exposed? And before we started these deportations, we really should have had the Justice Department go after the funding mechanism of all of these left-wing, I think, in a lot of cases, terrorists. Myself, I would label them that because I think they're organizing that way to obstruct federal law enforcement. But generally, I'm just going to remind everybody about that whole situation, whether it was the Preddy guy or whether it was Renee Good. Deportations at the scale that we want to see them, and 1 million deportations is great, but we got to get way more than that. Deportations at the scale that we want are going to mean people are going to die.
Yeah.
And you know what? Laken Riley
yeah.
died. These other people have died because the border was left open for so long, and our own government, I believe, was using the Mexican drug cartel as an army proxy war against our own people, and they've been doing this for years. And we have suffered from it. We've got people dead from fentanyl. Look at all of the people that have died because the American people have been sold out. In order to reverse that trend in any meaningful way, you're going to have to know. I'm sorry, folks. It just is what it is. You're going to know. Yeah, people are going to die in the process of trying to enforce the law because people are going to resist. And that may sound extreme, but it's not as extreme as leaving the border open for sex traffickers and criminals to terrorize America. That is much more extreme than what we're trying to do, getting these people out.
And you pointed out to me something that I hadn't really directly had that sort of correlation, and it was when we were comparing Trump's deportation numbers to Barack Obama's. And Barack Obama's is far greater deportation numbers, but a lot of those just included turning people away at the border, right, and not letting them in, or they get in but they're immediately sent back across the border. And so those numbers were being counted in there. Where Donald Trump, that's not happening because for 14, 15 straight months, the border has been completely shut down, right? And so they're not getting these encounters at the southern border. So what are they having to do? They're having to go find them individually throughout the country. And that's a much tougher job than you got this massive horde walking at you and you process them in a day and then you get them go back to their country. And then, of course, as we knew during the Biden administration, they were just letting them in. At least I'm going to give Barack Obama credit at least a little bit on that he turned some of the people away. And Barack Obama 1.0 is exactly what the Republicans are trying to get accomplished right now.
Yeah.
Immigration reform. We cannot have illegal. Listen to Barack Obama in 2008. Listen to him. Listen to Hillary Clinton leading up to that.
They were all lying, but yeah.
Oh, that
you know what I mean? It was all just...
Here's the thing, Paul. I don't think they were, in one respect. I don't think that they realized how advantageous it was going to be with the technology boom that was on the horizon there in 2010, 2011. We're just, when you think of Barack Obama, we're just now getting the iPhone now and all of that stuff. Then we're going heavily to these voting machines. And now they're saying, hey, we could actually create our own voters by just letting a bunch of people into this country. I think that they came to that over time. I don't think that it was a long-term plan because you wouldn't have spoken out against it as a Democrat, Bill Clinton, all of this stuff. You wouldn't have spoken out against it so much if this was your long-term plan.
Yeah. Folks, now it's time for Rob's favorite segment, Trans Women Are Men. As we wind down the hour here, we've got this headline over at Red State. Feckless WNBA bosses meet to define woman and come up with exactly nothing. Some say that women are indecisive, and the WNBA just proved it. What do you want to eat, sweetheart? I don't know. Well, what's a woman? I don't know. This is pretty hilarious. Fox News covered this as well this morning.
Range of topics, including ongoing discussions on transgender athletes and the continued hate and vitriol directed at players online. There are no immediate eligibility matters affecting the WNBA. Yes, there are. And we strongly denounce the bad faith efforts to use these topics to demean or marginalize others.
So they're literally just going to pretend that there is no What controversy? What are you talking about? There is no controversy. They didn't even address publicly that they've got two former NBA athletes that are declaring for the draft. They didn't even do that. Now, you sent me this, Rob, because Royce White and Enos Kanter, they are not letting this go, and they need to keep pushing this issue.
So you're telling me that former NBA player Royce White is going on day 3 of continuing his mission to get into the WNBA. Do I have that right? Which then led to other females calling him out, saying, do it, commit to the bit, take hormones, get facial surge, breast aug, and SRS with the money you got from being a Hall of Fame household name, change your name and live as a woman.
This is going to be...
Oh, sorry.
So you're telling me that former NBA player Royce White is going on change your name and live as a woman in society. Anything less is cis male cowardice. In which she replied, Don't tell me how to be a black woman. Taking hormones are optional. The idea that a trans woman has to subject herself to big pharma is just another way for cis-normative people to turn us into a commodity. I'm all natural, black, trans, lesbian with a penile aesthetic. Which then Ed Krasenstein, the liberal influencer, real men don't play women's sports, in which Royce White clapped back, you misgendered me again. That's toxic. Heteronormative bigotry. These words, guys. We've moved on from that way of thinking about womanhood. Why are you so pressed? We only make a tiny percentage of the population. You're obsessed. You must be jealous of strong, beautiful black queens. You go, girl. I'm all for this Royce White drama. For your mama. So you.
There it is. Your favorite segment.
I love it.
Trans women. Hang on. I didn't mean to do that. Trans women are men. Rob Spencer.
Listen.
What you got, sir?
Listen, Linda. Listen. The fact that there are so many of these people that are trans enthusiasts that are coming out and saying right now, well, then go ahead and get these. Go ahead and get transition surgery. Go ahead and start taking your hormones. Start living as a woman. Change your name. Do all that stuff. Clapping back and saying, how dare you tell me how to live as a woman? How dare you? Why should I have to subject myself to big pharma where I'm going to pump all these chemicals? I am a woman. I'm a woman. And therefore, I should qualify for the WNBA draft as a woman. All it says in the bylaws is that it has to be a woman. But we've not defined what a woman is. Trans women are women. Trans women are women. Ignore Rob's Chiron on the bottom down there. Trans women are women, okay? And if these individuals can't make it into the WNBA, I will protest because that is a bigoted approach, and I think it's absolutely a travesty, and you are trampling on the rights of trans people everywhere.
You know, it is kind of crazy. We talked about how the spell that is over this country and still over a lot of people, maybe it was broken in a lot of ways in 2024, but it's crazy to go to the WNBA, ask the WNBA to define the W in their name, and you're like, wow, this is going to get them, right? And instead, the WNBA has come out and has said, what controversy? And they're refusing
Nothing to see here, folks.
to define the W in WNBA. They're refusing to define it. And I find that
it's not going to go away.
It's not going to go away, but they're going to try to ignore it. They're doing, I don't know, is that a female stereotype? We'll just ignore the problem instead of confront it head on. Maybe I think that is a female stereotype, right? I'll give you the last word. We got to shut the hour down.
Well, it's been great with this hour one here, and we'll continue with hour two later this afternoon. Stay tuned for Sean Farish. I mean, he's getting, I guess, today and tomorrow is his last day on the channel. Congratulations to him, and thank you, chat. We loved you.
All right, folks. God bless everybody out there. Hour number 2 starts right now.
The Paul Harrell Program.